The courtroom was deathly quiet, a silence that pressed in on Elias like an invisible weight. The air hummed with tension as Captain Elias Grant stood at the center of the Galactic Tribunal, his pulse hammering in his ears. The amphitheater stretched around him, a colosseum of alien species, some with tentacles writhing in intrigue, others with piercing, glowing eyes that dissected him like a specimen under a microscope. Over 100 intergalactic civilizations, all staring at the lone human in the room. A deep, resonant voice shattered the stillness. "Human Elias Grant, you have been summoned to answer the charges before the tribunal." The speaker, an imposing Xanian with chitinous plates and 3 slitted eyes, leaned forward. "You are accused of defying the order of genetic preservation. How do you plead?" Elias clenched his jaw, the dryness in his throat making it hard to swallow. I don't understand the charge." "Genetic preservation?" A murmur rippled through the gathered aliens, a mixture of shock and amusement. The Xanian tapped his elongated fingers against the crystalline podium. "Humanity is an endangered species, Captain. With your planet's erratic survival rates and unpredictable war cycles, the Galactic Council has determined that you must reproduce to ensure the preservation of your species." Elias's eyes widened in disbelief, his breath catching in his throat. "Reproduce? You mean, have children? Just like that?" The tribunal's holographic display flickered to life, revealing disturbing statistics, plummeting human birth rates, wars, climate catastrophes, and the increasing reliance on artificial augmentation. The cold numbers painted a bleak picture, one that left Elias feeling smaller than ever. "Humanity's natural reproduction rates are dangerously low," the Xanian continued. "Therefore, you have been selected to comply with the preservation mandate." A figure shifted in the audience, the rustle of fabric and an intense gaze catching Elias's attention. She was unlike the other aliens, tall, statuesque, with pale blue skin and piercing violet eyes that studied him with something that bordered on curiosity. A representative of the Zelkar, one of the most powerful races in the galaxy. Elias's mind raced. "You can't just order me to reproduce like a duty assignment." Laughter, sharp and metallic, broke out across the tribunal, a sound that sent shivers down his spine. A towering insectoid delegate clicked its mandibles. "Oh, but Captain, it is not merely a request. It is law. And what if I refuse?" Elias's voice was steadier now, defiance creeping in. The Xanian's mandibles clicked. "Then humanity risks being classified as a failed species. Extinction would become inevitable." The Zelkar woman stepped forward. "Captain Grant, perhaps you misunderstand our intentions." Her voice was silk, wrapping around the room like an invisible force. "We do not seek to control you, but rather, to save your kind from your own self-destruction. You have been chosen to participate in the intergalactic genetic enrichment program." Elias took a step back. "That sounds even worse." She smiled, a slow and predatory expression. "On the contrary, you will be provided with the best genetic matches from across the galaxy, ensuring humanity's survival with superior offspring." Elias shook his head, his mind reeling. "I'm a soldier, not some breeding stock." "That is precisely why you were selected," the Xanian intoned. "Your resilience, your ingenuity, your uniquely chaotic nature. Traits that must be preserved." He looked around the amphitheater, at the rows of alien faces staring at him expectantly. This wasn't just about him. It was about his entire species, about survival in a universe that viewed humans as little more than an experiment with an expiration date. Elias took a deep breath. "I need time to think about this." The Xanian's eyes narrowed. "You have 72 Earth hours to decide. Should you refuse, humanity will forfeit its right to interstellar participation." Elias sighed as the tribunal adjourned, the weight of their expectations settling heavily on his shoulders. As he turned to leave, the Zelkar woman appeared beside him. "Think carefully, Captain. Your decision will shape the future of your people." He locked eyes with her, hoping to find a glimmer of reason amidst the unknown. "I always do." But deep down, he knew this was a challenge unlike any he had faced before, and the stakes had never been higher. Elias sat in his quarters aboard the Galactic Tribunal vessel, his eyes fixed on the swirling cosmos outside, thoughts racing. The gravity of his decision pressed down on him, making it hard to breathe. The Zelkar woman's words echoed in his mind, "Your decision will shape the future of your people." He ran a hand through his hair, frustration boiling beneath his skin. 3 days. 3 days to decide if he would comply with their so-called preservation mandate or condemn humanity to interstellar irrelevance. The thought of his species being reduced to a mere footnote in galactic history churned his gut. A soft chime startled him. "Enter," he called, expecting another delegate, another plea. Instead, the door slid open to reveal the Zelkar woman herself. She entered with effortless grace, her violet eyes fixed on him. "Captain Grant," she purred, her voice carrying a strange mix of authority and allure. "I trust you are using your time wisely." Elias folded his arms. "If you call staring at the ceiling wisely, then yeah, I'm doing great." She smiled, a gesture both genuine and predatory. "Humor. Another uniquely human trait we wish to preserve." Elias sighed. "Look, I get that you aliens think you know what's best for us, but humans aren't exactly great at taking orders. Even if it's for our own good." She tilted her head, studying him. "Resistance is a part of your nature, yes. But so is survival. Surely you understand that refusing this mandate could mean humanity's downfall." Elias rose and approached the viewport, feeling the cold press of the glass as he gazed into the infinite void. "You don't think humanity's fought tooth and nail for survival before? We've been on the brink more times than I can count. We don't need an intergalactic matchmaking service to keep us going." The Zelkar woman's gaze never wavered. "Perhaps. But your wars, your conflicts, have thinned your numbers. Your species is running out of time, Captain. And you have been chosen because you represent the very essence of humanity. Strength. Tenacity. Chaos." Elias exhaled sharply. "And if I say no?" Her expression hardened. "Then humanity will be deemed unsustainable. No more trade, no more protection, no more alliances. Your species will be left to drift, isolated, until extinction claims you." Elias's jaw tightened. "That's not much of a choice, is it?" "Survival rarely comes with easy choices," she countered. A tense silence hung between them before she stepped closer, her voice softer. "Captain, I am not your enemy. But I am your reality. You have 72 hours, Captain. Make them count." With that, she turned and exited, leaving Elias alone with his thoughts once more. Elias lost track of time, the minutes and hours dissolving into an indistinguishable haze. He found himself wandering the ship, seeking clarity in the sterile hallways and cold observation decks. The tribunal's vast archives were accessible to him, and curiosity got the better of him. While combing through endless files, Elias unearthed reports of other species grappling with the same mandate. Some had thrived under it, growing stronger with the enforced breeding programs. Others had resisted, and faded into obscurity. One particular report caught his eye, an entry about the Zari, a once proud warrior race now extinct. Their refusal to comply with the preservation mandate had led to their slow, inevitable demise. Reading their history sent a chill down his spine. Could humanity share the same fate? A sudden thought struck him. What if there was another way? Something they hadn't considered? Elias straightened, his mind racing. If humans were known for anything, it was their ability to find a third option when none seemed available. And he wasn't about to go down without a fight. Elias stood in the tribunal's grand hall once more, a tense energy coursing through him. The weight of his decision had grown heavier with each passing hour. He had spent the last day poring over files, sifting through countless reports of civilizations that had flourished or perished under the preservation mandate. And now, it was his turn to face the tribunal with an answer. The hall was alive with murmurs as he took his place at the center. The Zarnian judge loomed above him, mandibles clicking impatiently. The Zelkar representative stood off to the side, her violet eyes locked onto him, as if she already knew what he was about to say. Elias steadied himself, drawing in a slow, measured breath as doubts gnawed at the edges of his resolve. "I've reviewed your proposal. And while I appreciate the Council's concern for humanity, I can't agree to this mandate without conditions. The hall burst into a chaotic mix of alien voices, some furious, their appendages thrashing, others murmuring in hushed, calculating tones. The Zarnian slammed his clawed hand onto the podium. Conditions? Human, you do not dictate terms to the tribunal. Elias squared his shoulders, his gaze steady, yet a flicker of unease shadowed his features. If you want me to participate in this breeding program, then I demand certain assurances for my people. If you truly want humanity to thrive, we need autonomy. The right to choose our own partners, to retain control over our culture, and to ensure that our future is not dictated by alien interference. The Zarnian hissed, but before he could respond, the Zelkar woman stepped forward, her voice cutting through the tension. Intriguing. You seek to preserve not only your genetic lineage but your sovereignty as well. A rare display of foresight for a human. Elias's jaw tightened. We're not just a resource to be managed. We're a civilization. If you want our cooperation, then it has to be on our terms. The hall fell into an uneasy silence, punctuated only by the soft hum of the tribunal's energy field. The Zarnian narrowed his eyes. And if we refuse your conditions? Elias straightened. Then humanity walks away. We'll take our chances on our own. More murmurs. The tension in the hall grew thick enough to cut with a knife. The Zelkar representative exchanged a glance with the Zarnian before addressing Elias once more. Very well, Captain Grant. The tribunal will deliberate on your proposal. You will have our answer soon. Elias exhaled, nodding. That's all I ask. As the session adjourned, Elias felt the Zelkar woman approach him. You are walking a dangerous line, Captain, she said, her voice laced with curiosity. Are you prepared for the consequences should the tribunal reject your demands? Elias gave her a tight smile. Humans have a knack for surviving against the odds. We'll figure something out. She studied him for a moment longer, then nodded. You intrigue me, Captain. Perhaps more than I anticipated. With that, she turned and disappeared into the crowd, leaving Elias standing alone in the vast hall. He knew this was far from over. Whatever the tribunal decided, he had set events into motion that couldn't be undone. Humanity's future dangled precariously, and Elias wrestled with the gnawing uncertainty of his choice. He glanced at the massive doors as they sealed shut behind the last departing delegate. In the depths of his gut, he sensed that humanity's struggle was only just beginning. Elias faced the Galactic Tribunal again, his expression firm and unwavering, the murmurs of the alien assembly pressing in around him like a tide. The vast amphitheater was silent, every eye fixed on him. After what felt like an eternity, the Zarnian judge's voice echoed through the chamber. Captain Grant, the tribunal has deliberated on your conditions. Elias braced himself, feeling the weight of humanity's fate pressing down on him. The judge continued, after much debate, the tribunal has decided to grant your requests. Humanity will retain autonomy in the selection process and cultural preservation. However, oversight will remain in place to ensure compliance with the preservation mandate. A murmur rippled through the chamber, a low hum of anticipation and speculation, but Elias held his ground, the weight of the verdict settling deep in his chest. It wasn't complete freedom, but it was a compromise, one that ensured humanity's survival without sacrificing their independence entirely. The Zelkar representative stepped forward, her violet eyes filled with an emotion Elias couldn't quite place. Captain, your people have been given a rare opportunity. Do not squander it. Elias nodded slowly. We won't. But we'll do it our way. Later, in the solitude of his quarters, Elias stared at Earth's image on the display screen. The blue and green sphere looked so small, so fragile. He knew the battle wasn't over. Humanity would need to adapt, to embrace the future while holding on to what made them unique. As he considered the road ahead, a message chimed on his console. A request from Earth's representatives offering to form a coalition of scientists, leaders, and everyday citizens to guide the reproduction efforts. Elias smiled to himself. They were taking ownership, reclaiming their agency. In the end, Elias realized that survival wasn't just about numbers. It was about choice. The power to shape their destiny, to ensure that humanity thrived not as a dictated species, but as a people united by will and determination. As the proceedings concluded, the Zelkar woman approached him with a measured stride, her violet eyes gleaming with a mixture of curiosity and calculation. "You've bought your people time, Captain. Let's see what you do with it." Elias allowed himself a brief, confident smile, his thoughts flickering to the long road ahead and the burdens yet to come. Humans have a habit of surprising even themselves. As he walked out of the chamber, he carried with him a renewed sense of purpose. Humanity's future rested not just on survival, but on the resolve and wisdom of the choices yet to come. The galaxy had forced their hand, but they would write their own story. And with that thought, Elias Grant stepped into humanity's next chapter, one defined not by fear, but by hope and resilience.